Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Forgot to unmute myself. Hey, Lashy Kids and Driving Mutants. I just started off the show with technical difficulties, so we'll see how this one's going to rock. Have you guys watched episode 5 of both Hellbound, the Netflix series, and Juon Origins, the Netflix series? Let me do this and get myself all set up. Tony Man says, my life's like a fairy tale. Or wait, why did you write it that way? My life's like a fairy tale. Orca was a great big whale. Oh, whale. See, you forgot to put the Y because he said it. My life is like a fairy tale. Orca was a great big whale. I knew a fat girl who broke the scale, took a little test, passed and failed. Yeah. Is this going to be your thing? Always quoting nice and smooth lyrics? While y'all are answering that question of whether you even watched Hellbound and Juon, couple of things to let you know about. Tomorrow we're doing another random talk live stream. It's just going to be just whatever the conversation takes us tomorrow. That's where it is. It's going to be, I guess that would be 1:15 Pacific Standard Time, 3:15 Central Standard Time, 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, and then 9:15 I think it's British summertime or something like that. I think that's what BST stands for. But if you're in the UK, it's going to be 9:15 p.m. On my other channel, I just completed it's a review and a recap and a live stream and so much more of 90 Day Fiancé Tell All Part 2. And then I also did 90 Day Fiancé UK, which we're on episode 5. And then I will get into Hellbound just a moment. I got to get the door. Sorry about that. Just noticed that the door was halfway open. And if I left it that way, a cat was going to push it open and then interrupt the show. So Tony Man says, watched all of Hellbound. I forgot where to find Juon. You're lucky because I had verse from Supersonic, but I was afraid you'd get pinged. Oh, yeah. Juon is also on Netflix. Bob Gunter says, I found out that Kane Hodder played both BTK and Ed Gein in movies. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. Excuse me. Bob also says, I want him to play Carl Panzram. I'm not familiar with Carl Panzram. But if you like true crime, there's 2 channels I've been watching that have been pretty... Oh, my hair is caught in my ring. They've been pretty interesting. One of them is... Wonderland of, I think it's called Wonderland of Weird. I will probably put it in the, no, let me look it up right now. Because I want to make sure that I give her a shout out because it was a really good channel. And I think it's Wonderland of Weird. Yep, it is. It's Wonderland of Weird. Check her out. And then the other one is Bailey Sarian. Both of those I think you'll really like, Bob. Tony Man says, what up, Bob? How have you been? Terrence says, hey, Lady Shasha and everyone in the chat. Thumbs up. Thank you so much, Terrence. What's up? And Bob says he's not doing bad. All right. So let's get into this show. I have my notes over here because so much happened this episode. This character here, which we saw in the last episode, but we didn't catch his name. We saw him when he was talking to Young Jay about re-editing the promo, we'll call it, for the new truth. But he is named Deacon Yuji, and he is on the scene at the beginning of the episode. Deacon Yuji is on the scene where Young One was just taken by the Hellions. And he finds that loan shark card. So he's kind of on the trail of what else is going on. Because remember, there's this other faction that are all dressed in black, but they aren't. See, this is where the show gets confusing. Because you got 3 factions. One that's dressed in the mint and yellow, and that's the New Truth cult. Then you have the Arrowhead, that they're all dressed in black, but then you have this 3rd faction that are also dressed in black, but they're against both the Arrowhead and the New Truth. The 3rd faction that's dressed in black, their whole purpose is trying to help people that have received their decree, and they hide them. So at first you're like, well, why are they trying to hide these people? And at first it's presented as like they just don't want the public embarrassment, but when they say public embarrassment, they meant like literal. They don't mean just, oh, our friends and family are going to find out that, I received a decree. Turns out the New Truth was literally like getting people that had their decree and televising their demonstrations. And that's yikes. So he discovers about the new faction that's going against the new truth. So he's trying to figure out what that's about. Meanwhile, Young Wan is not Young Wan, Young Jae. Young Jae is at the hospital with his wife, and they're pretty much still depressed over their baby receiving the decree. And I mean, it's basically just a scene of grief. But then later he decides to do some research on his own to see if he can help the situation. And he discovers that there's like this really sacred place that is so sacred that even if you are a convicted felon and you go to this place, the police won't even arrest you because the place is super sacred. That's how it is described in the show. I'm not using my words. I'm just paraphrasing what they said on the show, which was pretty cool. He finds out that there's a person that might know more about where this place is because he doesn't know the exact location. And so he's trying to look for this professor that he saw on television being interviewed, Professor Gong. And we meet a character. I took down his character's name, but like we only see a little bit of them. Their name is Kim Young-suk, and they're being interviewed by the New Truth because they received their decree. And the New Truth is pretty much, asking them, well, when is your demonstration due to happen? And so he says his demonstration is when he received his decree, it was 6 days from now at 5 p.m., but he received his decree 6 days ago. So they're like, well, that's today. How about these fools dragged him and put him on the television? And this is inside their studio at the New Truth. I don't know whether they want to call it a temple, what they want to call it, but this is there where he is awaiting being taken by the Hellions. And do you remember that character of the preacher that was in the trailer that Miss Min went to go talk to? And he's the one that got her, like he showed her some stuff on a videotape, but then he had to immediately, it wasn't videotape, I think it was like a digital file because he immediately erased it. But then he called the Arrowhead to come get her, and she was left by the side of the river. That's him over here. I got another shot of him doing this whole televised kind of like teleministry type of thing with this guy waiting for the Hellions. And they even count down. They have like a count. Well, they've been having a countdown clock, but they count it down so that he gets to like make these grand gestures before the Hellions come. So in his earpiece, you hear the producer telling him, oh, you have 30 seconds until, his time of demonstration. And so he starts yelling about how, what was his name again? Kim Young-suk is damned to hell and that he's a sinner and he deserves what he's getting, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I just noticed this. I didn't notice that during the show, but look, they included a little black child over here. That's really cute. I mean, as cute as something can be in a cult. But after that happens, we find out that there are spies around. And at first I thought the spies were for the New Truth, but they actually were for the organization that Professor Gong is heading. And so yes, let me remember to say that. Shout out to the actor that played this preacher here because he really, really overacted. Like, I mean, without his overacting, I don't think it would have sold, but he really did it. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, we've seen somebody have their demonstration almost every episode, if not every single episode, and it never stops being visceral. Like I literally kind of like flinched when it happened to this gentleman, and I'm like, we've seen these demonstrations over and over again, but each time they find a way to make it fresh because the Hellions don't tear people apart in the same manner every single time. It's a little bit different. So it's always, is it wrong for me to say entertaining? It was it's entertaining to watch people get torn apart. I can't help it. That's the gore file in me. Okay, so later, Young Jae goes over to Hankook University. Bob says, oh, Tony Man says, didn't those crazy dudes beard up and beat up an old lady. It may have been early on in the show. Yeah, that was like 2 episodes ago. They beat up Miss Min's mother. The cancer. They beat up an elderly cancer patient. That's how sick those were the Arrowhead dudes. Beat, not beard. Oh, I've still read it as beat. Bob says in Junji Ito's new anthology book, there was a story called Madonna about a spirit of the head pastor's wife coming back for revenge. I'm not understanding how that connects to this. Is it the same director? Because I feel like I've heard the name Junji Ito before, but I'm not sure where. So let me know where this is connecting to what the part of the Hellbound that we're talking about. Bob says she makes people's ears leak salt and has connection to salt stone. It was an interesting story. Interesting. Tony said that's right. Thanks. Okay, now where was I? I'm going to take this off here. I put my phone up here, but it feels weird looking over this way at my notes. So I'm just going to hold it in my hand. Okay, I left off at Youngjae going to Hankook University to look for Professor Gong, and just as he's about to go into the professor's office, he pretty much gets bum rushed into the office. But fortunately for him, it was by the professor's own dues, because remember, the professor is in charge of the shadow organization that is helping people escape the new truth, exploiting them on television. So that's what that was about. But the first thing that he says to him is, "I thought I told you to forget what you saw," because the tiny reveal, Professor Gong was the same person that he saw down by the river. Bob says, it's just interesting to see how another culture interpreted Christianity. Yes. Okay. I said that. Let's see. Said that. Okay, the new deacon, what's his name? Yuji. Really? Sorry about that. I don't know why I forget to turn my notifications off. Deacon Yuji, anyways, is put in charge of finding out who this new shadow group is, and the preacher guy never caught his name. He tells him, "Okay, I give you full authority to do this investigation," but he starts rapidly like smacking him on the face or on the top of his head, really. Just like it was just such an odd thing. And then he says, "We need to do a different ritual because I don't like that one anymore." But I just thought that was a funny moment. And so, like the New Truth usually does, they go and enlist the help of the Arrowhead again. And a funny thing about the Arrowhead, they were dressed in black and they had these masks on that had like teeth. And it reminded me of the pandemic is something when someone has, like me, has a mask wardrobe. Like I have regular white mask, black mask, glitter. Well, this is actually crystal, not glitter, but these are, it's like a taupe crystal mask, black crystal mask, white crystal mask. But this is the mask I was talking about that the Arrowhead all had. Now, if I wear this mask again, people are going to think that I'm Arrowhead. But I didn't get that mask for this reason. I got this mask because of one character in KDA. If you've seen like the KDA Rockstar video, there's a character that she's rapping on a subway train and her mask looks like this. That's why I got this mask. Not because I want to be part of Arrowhead. Just letting y'all know. And I also have a really cool chain that I got. This comes in handy when you're in your car and you just have your mask hanging around your neck. Then you can just put it on in a store and take it off when you get in the car. Anyways, that's apropos of nothing. Tony Man says, "Are we talking about this whole series tonight? There was one part I actually enjoyed. I'll let you know when you get to it. We're only talking about episode 5, but we will be talking about the finale next week, which is episode 6, because there's only 6 episodes of both of these. So if it's something that happens in episode 6, save it for next week." Tony Man says, "I like the mask. Thank you." Okay. When the professor takes Young Jae to, I don't know, some separate location, and when they go there, we find out that Miss Min is alive. I thought that she was dead when they left her at the side of the river, but she's not. She's still alive. And at one point, they're talking to Young Jae and telling him, well, one way we can do something about the new truth is to televise your baby's demonstration because no one's going to believe that a baby is a sinner. And of course, he rejects that idea because who wants to see their that happen to their baby? But on the way out the door, Professor Gong tells him that his daughter received the decree as well. But when she just received a decree, it was like, your demonstration is going to be in 40 seconds or something like that. So he was driving in a car with her, so he saw her receive the decree and then saw the hellions running towards his car within seconds, and he ended up going off a cliff and by a beach, and the hellions got his daughter. And it was a really cool sequence and flashback with everything. I think her demonstration was probably the least gory, and I think it's because it was a child. I think she's meant to be 12, anywhere from 12 to 13 years old. So I think that demonstration wasn't, rip them to shreds like the others because of her age. Here's where the show gets really, really dicey. So you think that, they might be making a plan. They might not, because Youngjae goes home to tell his wife about what was suggested, and she doesn't want to do that. But at the same time, she's so depressed that she can't even bond with her baby. The baby is just laying there crying. And I was taken aback by the fact they used an animatronic baby. I really expected it to be like either a real baby or even a CGI baby, but they actually used an animatronic baby. And I was like staring at it like, wow. So the wife is still depressed. She can't even comfort the baby. So Young has to go over there and pick up his baby and comfort little Tuffy. That's the baby's name, is Tuffy. And meanwhile, Professor Gong is, I guess he's headed home. We don't know where he's headed, but this wouldn't be a K drama if there wasn't a car accident out of nowhere. So he's driving home. He gets hit by a car, and guess who it is? Arrowhead. Of course, they came to get him after his dude snitched on him, because first they had gone and tortured this couple. At first, we don't know who they, or at least I didn't know who they were, this couple, but they were like hitting this dude's knees with hammers and stuff. It was just a mess. And so, anyways, he snitches, lets them know where Professor Gong is going to be, because here's the thing: they want his car, because they figure they can find out what the sacred place is if they can just trace back his recent locations on his GPS. And so they got him, they got the dude that snitched on him, and it was so messed up because they tied him to a gurney and they burned him alive. Like, at first I'm like, why are they doing this? But then it comes back around towards the end of the episode. I'll let you know why they did that. But in the meanwhile, Miss Min is leaving their secondary location, and she hears the arrowhead coming for her because she's smart like that. So the arrowhead come for her, and she almost gets away with no problem, except for that deacon. What was his name? I don't never remember this deacon's name. I don't remember it, but it was the two deacons that wear the mint and the yellow. They cut her off, but this is one of my favorite scenes from this episode. Miss Mean said, "You're not going to catch me lacking like you did last time. Last time they caught her lacking, beat her up. She ended up by the edge of the river. No, Miss Min has gone and got herself some self-defense instruction and some self-defense tools, and she sat there and tased one dude in the neck and 300 kicked the other one in the chest. It was great. It was great watching her action sequence. She sold that. Tony Man says, Deacon Frost. No. See, now you're going to make me go back off my notes just so I can tell you what deacon it was. I know it starts with a Y. Yuji. Deacon Yuji. Oh, now I was going to tell you what happened to those burnt carcasses because the arrowhead burnt up Professor Gong and the other dude whose name apparently was Mr. Kim. I didn't know his name until they said the news story of the bodies because the bodies were hung on the university sign, like the arc or just like the large placard where you drive into a university and there's like a big sign there. They hung the burnt charred carcasses of Mr. Kim and Professor Gong off the sign at the university, and that was nasty. With signs around their neck saying that they were sinners to make it look like the Hellions did that to them instead of the Arrowhead doing that to them. That's some really really nasty work right there. Anything else happen? Oh yes, at the very end of the episode, we see Young Jae's wife, and she's heading up the stairs and of the new truth with baby Tuffy, and that's how the episode ends on that cliffhanger of her going towards the new truth. What did y'all think of that episode? And do you have any theories if you haven't watched the finale yet? I know Tony Man has watched the finale. Don't spoil it. We'll get into it next week. But what did y'all think of this episode? I thought there was a lot of twists and turns in it. For it to only be like 50 something minutes long, they put a lot of things in it. That's why I had to take so many notes. There's no way I was going to remember this in chronological order. While y'all are typing, I will take a sip and let me mute myself. Tonyman says, actually, your explanation made the episode have more sense. Well, yeah. Well, I will say this. This was my second time watching it because I have completed this series. I'm rewatching it so that it's fresh in my mind as we're having this live stream. Because the first time I watched the series, I was more confused. But this time, this is the type of series where everything isn't just expressed through dialogue. You really have to watch the screen. Because the things that they look up on the computer, the text messages they receive, just even visual cues tell you a lot about what's happening in the story. So it's not the type of thing that you can just listen to and while you're playing a game on your phone, because you're going to miss a lot of contextual clues. Tony said, by the way, I'm surprised that you don't know. I know the name of Deacon Frost. Deacon Frost is from Blade. Now, if you do I have it, I might have a Blade. Do I have a Blade pen? See, if you look up here, up behind me, above Annabelle's head, is all the movies. The movies that came out during the time that I worked in the movie theater, and Blade was one of them. But I don't see a Blade pen. I guess I didn't get a Blade pen. I got a Species pen. I didn't get a Blade pen. I'm mad about that now. I thought I had one. Oh, well. Anyways, you all get the point. All right. I'm going to show you guys something that's pretty cool before we go into the juon. Check this out. That was for Black Lagoon TV. They're doing a giveaway contest, and the prize is 2 VIP tickets to Halloween Horror Nights. You can see on here how to win the contest. Follow and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Follow them on Instagram and like their most recent post and tag 3 friends. The contest winners will receive instead of VIP, it says RIP tour tickets to view the parks. There's also exclusive giveaways to anyone attending Halloween Horror Nights on September 8th wearing their merchandise and who take a picture of themselves, post it, and tag it. This is the merchandise on their site, which you can see they have like different types of sweatshirts, t-shirts. Let's see. Pretty good selection of both men's and women's. Oh, we got some tanks too there. They also have some mugs, backpacks. I kind of like the mugs. I really like the fanny packs. I don't know. That's an acquired taste. I might be the only person that likes fanny packs, but I do like a fanny pack. It's the growing up in the 80s in me. You see even some swag for your laptop. And bonus 20% off promo code FREQ20. So if you use that promo code of FREQ20, you get 20% off your purchase on their site. Now let's get back to the program. Oh, I should have mentioned Universal California. Although they didn't, let me just double check. I'm pretty sure it said Universal California. Because I know they're based in California, so I'm guessing it's Universal California. Yeah, because it just says Universal Studios. And generally, when it's Orlando, it will say Universal Studios Orlando instead of just Universal Studios. So I'm thinking it's California, but you could always ask them because they are very responsive on Instagram. Okay, y'all ready to get into Juon? Tony Man says, yo, hey, that's not Tony Man, that's Marty. Marty says, yo, Lady Shasha, turning in because I've got work in the morning, but I'll put out Pimp Tweet before I go to bed first. I always appreciate you, Marty. Thank you so much. Have a good night. And Tony Man also says night, Marty. Okay, so let's get into. I have less notes for Juon because it was the story, while equally complex, was a little bit. Well, no, I take it back. It was not easier to follow. I was gonna say it was easier to follow. No, it wasn't. It was not easier to follow. So if I get something wrong, y'all let me know. Even if you're rewatching this, by the way, don't shy away from commenting on a rewatch because we still continue this conversation in the comments. So let me know if you notice something that I didn't notice. Actually, I'm going to leave it on there for now. We start off jumping back to 1995 again with Mr. Otajima smoking and having coffee at a restaurant. And this other gentleman walks in and says that his name is Kosaka. He doesn't say whether that's his first name or last name, but it kind of sounds like a last name. So I'm going to call him Mr. Kosaka. Mr. Otajima recounts several stories to Mr. Kosaka. One about a woman who was held captive 43 years ago, who also had a baby, but the baby was never found. Then he recounts another story of a girl who went missing 8 years ago. He talks about his older sister and he living in that same house until he was 5 years old. And when his mother passed away, his sister and he were placed in different foster care homes. So he's lost track of his sister. He also tells Mr. Kosaka, that the house may be cursed. But then he asks if it's possible for him to go and see the inside of it. Like, why? At first, I was like, why would you give all this exposition about why this house is cursed, only for you to say, oh, and by the way, can you take me inside of it? But The reasoning he wants to go inside of it is because he thinks that he will remember something that will allow him to find his sister. And to my surprise, actually, let me read this comment first. Tony says, this Juon show is something I really want to watch. I think I'll start tonight, but I'll probably have nightmare because I'll fall asleep on it like every other show I try to watch. Well, each episode is only 30 minutes long, so you might be able to watch an episode or two before turning in. They're really short and to the point, which I enjoy, and I still tell a lot of story within that 30 minutes. So, where did I leave off? Mr. Kosaka agrees to show him the inside of the house, and we finally see Mr. Otajima standing outside that house and that he used to live in. Because for a while, remember, just to jog your memory, because I know I took a couple weeks off talking about this show, he could not remember the address of the house that he lived in as a child because at the time he was a child. He left there when he was 5 years old, but he always was trying to find his house. And it took all these different things happening for him to finally track down his house. So this is kind of a big moment for him to be able to go inside this house. Otajima does start to remember some things, and he sees the ghost of the schoolgirl from the first episode in the house. Meanwhile, in the hood somewhere in Japan, this lady is like banging it out, not with the guy she's sitting next to, but this other dude, banging it out, going at it. He leaves with his friends saying, oh, let's go to the bar. And we find out that she is a sex worker. And so later on, this dude comes in and he's like, hey, you got anything for me to shoot up? Because I just got this little bit of money because I sold my kidney. And he was like, I was going to sell, they were going to try to take my other kidney too. But then the little ghost boy of Toshiki showed up and told me to run. And so I ran before they could take my other kidney. And he said, I'm not even stitched up. I'm bleeding through my stuff. And she just not caring at all. She's sitting there not caring. And he kind of should have taken a hint, but he's still in his haze of wanting to get high and have her shoot him up. He ignores that, even though he just told her a story about Toshiki warning him and telling him to run. Tony says, I'd love to see if this is an actual house that people take pics of like Amityville or the Breaking Bad house. Oh, I should look that up towards the end of this. Remind me again if I forget. I want to look that up online. So what was I saying? Yeah, so she goes to mix up whatever she's going to inject him with. And Toshiki shows up again and tells dude, run. But he doesn't listen because he just wants to get high. So, you know, it is what it is. We don't see what happens just yet. Later on, Otajima meets up with Haruka and Miss Ariyasu, who, remember, Haruka is the famous actress. Is it Haruka or Haruko? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't remember which it was, but the actress. And then Miss Ariyasu was the social worker that feels, you know, a certain amount of guilt because she didn't remove Toshiki from the house before his untimely demise. And I think that they're looking for Mr. Otajima's sister, but I'm not 100% sure. So y'all got to let me know, because like I said, this one was a little bit harder for me to follow. Later, Kosaka visits the Sasaki real estate agency to get more information about the house, because although he is the current realtor involved in the house, there's previous realtors for that house. So he goes to talk to the previous realtor. And he asks him, well, do you remember this house? And that realtor is like, yeah, I remember this house because the former owner who lives overseas left his son in charge of the house as the caretaker. And Kosaka asks if that's the son. Well, no, he doesn't ask. He tells. Kosaka tells, see, I got to get these names right. Kosaka tells Sasaki, or I should say Mr. Kosaka tells Mr. Sasaki that it's the son that locked that lady up in that house. That was, well, we don't know whether he impregnated her or whether she was already pregnant when he locked her up. So he tells, you know, the former realtor that happened. So the former realtor was like, well, did she have the baby or did she miscarry? And he's like, the baby was never found. And so Mr. Sasaki, am I say it? Sasaki, yeah, asked, well, maybe that dude took the baby and hid it. And Mr. Kosaka says, No, because she killed dude before she had the baby, which that's a new piece of information for us because I didn't know that when he was having this conversation with Mr. Otajima in the restaurant. So he suggests that maybe the property owner. Oh yeah, I said that part already. Mr. Sasaki says that he does remember a newer story, and he talks about a man that came to look at that property or to rent it, and the man had 2 children. And I was wondering if if the man he's talking about that has the 2 children is Mr. Otajima's father. It could be. So later on, Mr. Otajima and Miss Ariasu find where the sex worker is staying. And again, I'm not see a part of me, the way the story is set up, it makes me feel like the sex worker is supposed to be Mr. Otajima's sister, but she looks too young to be his older sister. So I was a little bit confused as to who she's supposed to be. They get into her apartment and they find the dude that was wanting to shoot up dead in a bathtub because oddly enough, I thought that she was going to put something weird in the needle and just poison him. No, she still shot him up with, I guess, what might be heroin or whatever. And she drowned him in the bathtub. But he was very weak because, you know, he had one of his kidneys removed earlier that day and he's still cut open. So it was kind of easy for her to overpower him and drown him in the bathtub. But I just didn't see her drowning him coming. I really thought she was just going to shoot him up with something funky. So Otajima's like, who's this guy? And it was Miss Ariasu. Ariasu said that's her husband. And so we get that reveal. Later on, when she looks out the window and you see nothing but like condoms on the windowsill, that's when we realize this. Well, if you didn't recognize the guy that was floating in the bathtub, then that's when the reveal is that this is the sex worker's apartment. Okay. Meanwhile, she has run off and we're wondering where she is. She's back at the house. She broke the window, went in the living room and started laying out the photographs, which connects her back to the very first episode of the schoolgirl that went into that house and was assaulted. She and the schoolgirl are the same person. So I'm still trying to figure out if that schoolgirl is supposed to be Otajima's sister or not, because the story keeps jumping back and forth in time. And since this is still, I don't know. Here's the thing. The story jumps back and forth in time, but Mr. Otajima looks the same. And I feel like if it would make more sense if they had a younger version of him playing or older version, or an actor that was able to look both young and older at the same time, because there's some actors that are great at that. Like there's one actor that was in the that miniseries about the Central Park Five where he completely looked like a teenager and then looked like a 30-year-old and within the same series. I can't remember the actors' names, but you know what I mean. So anyways, she's laying out these Polaroids. And if you remember from episode 1, those are the Polaroids of her actual assault, because the 2 little witches that got her caught up, they told her, oh, we'll be your friend, come hang with us after school. But they set that girl up. So when she went in that house, they had one of their male friends assault her, and they took Polaroid pictures of the assault. So that's what she's crying and laying out on the ground there, is those pictures of her assault. And mind you, it's Polaroid because this was in 95. In 1995, we didn't have camera phones. So that's how that would have been done. Like you really have to think some stuff out to do stuff like that. Anyways, you can see I'm a little bit, I feel for that girl. That's all I'm saying. Let me see. At one point, it was the next morning, as a matter of fact. See, there's a cat right there about to holler. I might let her in if she keeps hollering. But the next morning, Mr. Otajima, some of these investigators, and also, who else was there? There was somebody else there. Mr. Kosaka was there. They went back to the house, and they found the Polaroids on the floor, and then Mr. Otajima starts having these visions and starts seeing stuff again. Tony says, lightning just lit up my room. It's probably going to get stormy soon. Yeah, I'm going to finish up soon. I'm going to try to get out of here within the next 15 minutes. So Otajima starts seeing visions, and they all go up to the attic because one of the investigators say that they saw something in the attic from the roof. So they all go up to the attic, And I'm going to read this off my phone because it's a lot. He saw his sister. He gets this vision, or not vision, but a memory. And he remembers his sister going into an attic, and a ghost lady in the attic hands him a baby and tells him to bury it. But then when he's holding the baby, it contorts his mouth like extra wide, and then he gets scared because he's a little 5-year-old. So he drops the baby. And then a second ghost lady breaks the window, comes in, and picks up the baby. This is what she looked like. That's what she looked like coming through the window. Wouldn't that scare the crap out of you? It scared the crap out of Mr. Otojima when he was a little 5-year-old, and he passes out in the living room, and that's where his father finds him. That's how the episode ends. With that right there, with them eyeballs looking. Don't forget to look up the house. Yeah, let me do that right now. I'm going to go on to Google. Wait. Okay, it says it's called Seiki House. And it says, while the house setting is a real location used for the Juon film series, the sets were built in a soundstage for the Grudge franchise. The American shooting sets also make the house look bigger, slightly roomier, and more isolated from other houses nearby. And I'm going to click images. Okay, there's a Juon wiki. There's a YouTube. Let's see here. It's called Juon the Grudge House Actual. Let me see if I can play a snippet of that. Okay, let's do this and pause. Adjust a little bit the speed. And then we'll go ahead and share this. Share audio, and we're go. Make it a little bit larger. Shout out to Edamame Arcade Channel who posted this.
Here? Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm AJ Hamilton. What's up? So today we are going to be playing first-person shooters. Finally, I don't know why we are here, though. Very weird-looking place. 前回 FPS やるって聞いたら、ホラーゲームやるんですよ。もうダメだよ。今回こそは、まあ FPS で。で場所はもうちょっとなんですけど、はい、ちょっと行ってみましょうか。行きましょう。That way? This is nice. It's nice. It's kind of scary. Yeah. All right. This is gross. What are we doing? What is this?
今回はホラーゲームやってもらいます。
何回やらせるのこのくだりを。
この家なんですけど、
Like,
過去に1回だけ事件が起きてるんですよ。
嘘つけおい。
で、まあ、その事件が起きたから、誰も家を借りてくれなくて、なんか出るらしいんですよ。
出るらしい。
はい。
は。
で、これね、
I don't know whether this is real or whether this is BSing or not. Because that doesn't look like the house. At least not. Maybe the other side of it, I'd have to say. But that doesn't look like the house.
ちなみに、赤ちゃんと2人、両親2人、3人が亡くなってるんです。
Let me check the comments.
In here?
Oh, it's not showing me.
殺人
Did they don't have comments on their video. Okay.
I don't want to. I don't.
Move. Everybody move. Go.
Look at that fast forward.
It's That's a good noise. Everybody loves the scary.
Okay, now that looks like it from the inside. Yeah. Because I remember when she crawled down those stairs. Yeah, that's wild. Oh, I'm gonna mute it because this music, I don't want to get dinged for music. Okay, so we saw that they went inside of it. I guess people can go inside of it. That's interesting. Here's another one. Dismembering horror. This person's video might be a little bit more straightforward. This is, yeah, Dismembering Horror. Says, while in Tokyo, I of course had to swing by the famous, for horror fans at least, house from the Juon series. It has been just as eerie in person.
After, excuse me, after a confusing but made it here train's journey, I made it to the stop for Dun Dun Dun, the house where they filmed all the Juon / Grudge films. Coming out here, you could tell it was the outskirts, but it's still much like in true Japan fashion, still more happening than I was expecting. But no tourist anything. You can tell this is not a tourist area. Yeah, I thought this was going to be all residential.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward because he should have turned the there we go. Turn the camera around. I want to see where you're walking. There you go.
I thought this was a street I was looking for on the map. It was just this little path. But this is really starting to feel like it. I made a point to come here.
Why do you have the camera so close to your face? Back up.
Time, or that seems like it's always
this dude must have been filming like this.
I think this is it. This is it.
Oh, yep, there it is.
Now the production company apparently keeps this house protected, tries to keep its location a secret, but someone on the internet ruined it.
So that answers your... Let me pause it. That answers your question, Tony Man. People do go to visit it like they visit the Amityville house. He says, and the grate on the top where you first see the kid. Where you first see Toshio.
There was a guy. I was wondering if they were going to be filming here because I read that right now they're shooting the newest Juon remake. But then I read it's like a fully American production. And then I had some mention of American suburbs. But I did get excited because they said they're filming it right now, May 2018. Now they're doing something here, though. There's lights and there's a dude doing stuff. So maybe they were just shooting some scenes here. Who knows? But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of activity. Just a dude doing something. Some basic contracting, something. I wish I could speak Japanese, or I wish this guy, like, I nodded with him. But I wish I could, like, converse with him and be like, yo, what's up? Yeah, you definitely.
So you traveled all the way to Japan and you can't even say, yo, what's up? You can't even say, hello, how are you? The way some people just be traveling countries and don't even think to know even the basics, just on the plane right over. It's a long flight. You could at least learn some phrases.
I can hear people inside. Jovial. Speaking Japanese. So not the American production people.
Torment says that should be a tourist spot. I'd love to check it out.
I feel like they're getting ready for filming something here. I don't know.
Yeah, it was probably the series that I'm talking about right now.
I guess I should go. Took a while to get here.
I hope a spirit doesn't follow you home. I don't play those type of games.
I was hoping that if I stood there long enough, someone would invite me in.
No, you don't want to go in there.
It might have been true, but it wasn't happening.
Anyways, enough of that. But yeah, now we know that people do go visit the Grudge house. But shout out to him for putting that video up. He's hearing voices, but I'm not seeing any equipment. He said he heard voices coming from inside the house. You never know. That might be some other stuff. All right, I just heard thunder. It's time for me to get out of here. So that's what I'm about to do. Thank you all for coming through. I appreciate you. And we will wrap up this series next Thursday. We'll talk about the season finale of season 1 of Hellbound and of Juon. And then we'll really, really be able to get into all the spoilers you want to get into. Again, tomorrow we're going to do the chill stream at 4:15, and check out my other channel, Fashion Freak TV, for 90 Day Fiance coverage. And that's all I got for y'all today. See y'all later.
Hey, 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 hey.
Turn it down and turn it down.